So now I'm going to give you a walkthrough of what D2L will look like for you. Every teacher has their own way of organizing. This is my organization. This is the best way to find information. So you should have read through the welcome. Here's the video. And you go through here, read the information. It's all wonderful. Okay. And then it says get started. Click content from the navigation menu, start here, and we'll go through. So if you go up to the top, you hit content. And this is going to bring up your content browser. So this is where I spend most of my time going through the things here on the left. I do want to caution you against using things like the to-do list over here on the right or the calendar, because the calendar and the to-do list are incomplete. They do not have all of your assignments. Your assignments are located that are completed through D2L, like submissions to labs, submissions to quizzes are here, but like your mastering physics assignments aren't on this list. The discussions don't always show up on the list, depends on how they're set. So you have to be really careful. Additionally, some things are hidden, so you may not be able to see them on the to-do list until you've met the conditions. So you go to content, and we're going to go to start here. So I'm not going to read through all of this information, but if you go through start here, there are some things you have to look over. You need to look over the meet your professor. So you click on that, read through it. That's me. Tips for quality lab submissions. This is very, very important. You don't want to lose points. The rubric for the labs is here. And actually, if you click tips for quality lab submissions, this brings up a sample conclusion that's edited that you should look over before you do your first lab. The next thing is the high quality discussions. Okay, more suggestions for that. If you click down here at the bottom, oh wait, no, not there, but actually if you click the top right here, if you click that, that'll bring up your discussion rubric. So you have your two rubrics. Those will be needed for the syllabus quiz. You want to have those up and read through this information before taking the syllabus quiz because it'll help you out. When we do discussions, please, it's not just a checklist. Oh, I did my discussion. Use them as a tool for making it meaningful. Give feedback. Get feedback. I will be in the discussions helping you out. This is such a quick course that you want to get feedback immediately or as close to immediately as you can when you're stuck. We can do that with the discussions. So I will check them regularly. The only time I won't be able to check them is once August comes. I won't be able to check them very often during the day because I'm back to my full-time day job. So I'll be spending most of my time in this course at night. But by then, hopefully, we'll have a really good interactions with the discussion. So the whole class will benefit if you use the discussions well. Some courses have done it well, some others haven't. I feel like it's much more meaningful if you participate. So if we go through here, also the overview, anytime you do need to find the syllabus, it is right here. And then after you go through read your start here, here's your syllabus quiz. So you can take the syllabus quiz as many times as you need. Please, if it takes you more than 2 or 3 times, send me an email. You're probably not reading something right or misunderstanding a question. I don't want you to spend 20, 30, 40 minutes, an hour working on that quiz. So you have the syllabus linked here as well as in the overview, and then your syllabus quiz is located right here. It's best if you do this right away today, or as soon as you see this, but you have to have it done by Monday, 7/14, or you will be dropped from the course because I have to report if you've attended or not, and that's your attendance assignment. So the next thing is that you cannot view anything else besides some of these links. So you could probably view the virtual office hours. You click on this link. There's the Google Meet. 6 to 7 p.m. I'll stay on for 15 minutes. If no one's there, I'll close. If you're going to be late, like, hey, I can't do 6, but I can be there at 6:30, 6:45, shoot me an email and I'll do that and I'll open it back up or keep it open longer. But I'm not going to sit in front of a screen for an hour if nobody's going to show up. I'll be 15 minutes to see if you come. Otherwise, send me an email. And if you work on Tuesdays and Thursdays and you can do Mondays and Wednesdays, send me an email. I'll open it up on Monday or I'll open it up on Wednesday. Or you can't do 6, but you can do 8. We'll make a time that works. I want to be here to help you because this class is hard. It's fast. You will want help. Also get help from your classmates. Set up a study group. Mastering physics, this will look completely different for you. But when it's time for your first assignment, you click on mastering physics. It will prompt you to likely log in if you have a login, or there'll be an option for you to create an account and you'll be able to complete your assignments. Like I said, mine will look a little bit different, but if I click the My Lab and Mastering, it will bring up a view. I prefer the assignment view that has the calendar. It will show what's due soon. So I do the calendar version myself. To me, this makes more sense. So you've got your introduction to mastering physics. If you've never used mastering physics before, I would do that one. And then homework 1 is your first assignment due on Friday at 11:59 p.m. And then there's that adaptive follow-up. If you've read through the syllabus, or when you read through the syllabus, it talks about an adaptive follow-up. If you get less than a 90% on the assignment, it will generate this adaptive follow-up based on the things that you struggled with. And doing those adaptive follow-ups will help give you more practice. And then getting 90% on either the original assignment or the adaptive follow-up, if you did not get it on the original assignment, contributes towards extra credit at the end of the course. So it's a good idea to do that. So homework's open on Fridays and are due on Sundays. It'll look a little bit different. They will take an average of 2 hours. Some of you longer, some of you shorter. I will be going through and kind of editing them along if I find that we're running out of kind of time. If people are taking a little bit too long, I'll see what I can do. I kind of adjust them every year as we go. So then going back here, like I said, I always go back to content whenever I'm in a schedule. The formula sheet is here. This is the formula sheet that is available for you on your test. You can just click that link, print it out, have it with you. I make notes about this in different locations, but if you just Google or use AI to help you solve a problem, they're going to use whatever equations that are on the internet that they can find. You are only allowed the formulas that are on the formula sheet as your starting formulas. There are a lot of them, but you have to know what they are and what they mean. So even when you're working your mastering physics will sometimes use equations that are already derived for you, where you have to start at fundamental equations. So I demonstrate that in all of my lecture videos, but you need to be in this sheet. You need to practice with it because it's not going to do you any good on a test if you don't know what the formulas mean. So use that formula sheet as your guide as you go. So clicking back to content, over here, I then also have the Desmos Scientific Calculator. I figured out last spring, how to actually get the Desmos Scientific Calculator into D2L. So you'll be able to use this. So you should practice with it. If you have your own beautiful graphing calculator and you prefer that, that's fine, but you can't use it on the test. So I do suggest you become really familiar with this and just use the Desmos Scientific Calculator for all your calculations on homework assignments, practice assignments, etc., because this is what you'll have on the test. So the more familiar you are with it, the easier it'll be used, the more it'll be a tool rather than a frustration. So coming back to content, helpful tutorial resources. So I do have some tutoring services information from Lone Star. This is specifically for summer. So this was sent out by Lone Star Montgomery for you. So I added that here. And then these are my favorite YouTube channels, also suggestions from other students that they like to use. So if you are stuck and need some help, these are really great lessons, videos, tutorials, depending on what you are looking for. And then over here on the left is module 1. So you probably won't be able to see module 1 right away because you have to get 100% on that syllabus quiz in order to see module 1. So if I click here and look at module 1, the first thing I'll see is an overview. So these are done basically by weeks. Module 1 covers basically Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the first week, and then the first whole week is our module 1. So it gives you a suggested outline for the different dates here. You will see that those dates correspond to the schedule in the syllabus. So if I scroll down to the suggested schedule in the syllabus, way back down here, So you can see that there are suggested dates to complete items. So it says on Thursday, you should be looking at section one. You should be going through lab one, mastering physics one. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you should be working on your assignments. And then Monday, start on section two. These are suggestions. They are not required dates, but this is a really good calendar for you to follow if you can. If you are working full time and you can only work late at night, and on the weekends, you might struggle finishing this class because there is a lot of work. You have to do 16 weeks worth of work in more like 5.5 weeks. So just realize that this schedule is here as a guide. You want to stick to it as much as possible. Work ahead of it if you can, giving you more time to practice when you get stuck. So looking here at this first module, you have 4 sections with those suggested dates. Section 4 is Gauss's law, and it's like one of these fundamental topics. So it's actually spread out over 2 days because it's a lot thicker, a lot denser content than the other days. So each of the different lesson assignments, the different types of things you have are down here. So the discussions, labs, everything are here. I want to bring a note to the derivation packets. So with the derivation packets, these are optional assignments that are actual assignments in my normal class, but they are very dense. They're very calculus heavy, and they're really designed to be done collaboratively with an instructor in the room. So when I designed these and I thought about how to make them adapt to the online course, I could not find a good way to get that kind of trial and error help in that is needed that we would get in class. So instead, these are optional and the answer keys will be there for you. But just because they're optional doesn't mean they're only a suggestion. They're basically a requirement that's not graded, because this is what your test questions are going to be like. I can guarantee you that there will be questions that are very, very similar to those in the derivation packets, that you will see examples that are similar in the videos and some of the tutorial problems, but they won't necessarily be in your mastering physics homework, because the mastering physics homeworks are not designed to be at kind of this level. um, Mastering physics has problems like this, but they're really hard to do and people don't do well on them. So I kind of cut those out and put them into these packets because they're more guided. So the answer keys are there for you. So you really, really, really want to do them. The other thing that might be a little different is the practice exam session. So your exams are proctored in Respondus, and um, I have requirements that are different than many other teachers. I have been doing online teaching for a long time, and I have found that if I want my tests to represent more of what the student knows with more peace of mind on my end, that I'm not continuously having to look over someone's shoulder and making sure that they're not um, doing something and using outside resources to make it more authentic as to what the student knows, I have very specific requirements that require you to show not just your face in your webcam, but your whole workspace. And it can be difficult to set that up. I have a video in the practice exam session that shows you some suggestions for how you can achieve that, especially if you don't have a separate webcam. It's a lot easier if you have a separate webcam because you can put it up high, you can put it up further away from you. If it's attached to your laptop, it's a little more difficult. But you will have to do the practice exam session and follow the instructions as if it was an actual exam. You will submit your practice exam session and I will review it and I will give you feedback. If you are following the rules, everything looks good, I can clearly see your work, clearly see your workspace, then I'll say, hey, approved, you can take exam one when it opens. But if you're not following the exam security instructions as laid out in the syllabus and here in D2L, then I'll say, hey, you need to fix these types of things, redo the session. When you have it fixed, I'll take a look again, and then I'll either approve you or say, hey, do it again. If you have to keep doing that 6, 7, 8 times, you're going to keep doing it 6, 7, 8 times. I will not let you take exam one until we have found a way for your setup to match what the expectations are. So please be aware of that. The practice exam session is at the end of week one. Your first exam is at the end of the full week two. So that does give us a week to play around with, but you need to make sure that you are getting that done because you will not be able to take exams until you have been approved. So then if I scroll down, all the other sections are here. So after I've gone through the overview for the week, and this is a long one because it's week 1. The other modules don't have that long of an overview. I will click on section 1. So this specifically says for section 1, the first topic, what we're going to be covering, what you should read in the textbook. You should look over the textbook. Do you have to read it word for word? No, but it is helpful because videos are still going to be overviews, even though my video lectures are long because they are covering all of the content that I would normally teach. They are not short little 20-minute tutorial videos. I do have those, but they're going to teach you the concepts in depth and how to solve problems. So then if you need additional help with types of solving problems, I have chosen some good tutorial videos that match what I expect you to know, what is expected to be on your tests. If you don't watch those, could you be ready for the tests? Possible. But if you're struggling, especially with the mastering physics assignments, or you're just not quite sure where things are going in a lecture video, going and looking at more topics from these tutorials would be good. We've got your first introduction discussion here. First mastering physics, just kind of giving you reminders of dates. Remember, you access mastering physics up here. There's nothing to click on in here because it's just giving you deadlines. And then lab 1 is going to be going through a standard lab. I do assume that you have done university physics level labs before, and that you should have already done labs that are similar to this. But I have learned over the years that every professor is a little bit different, and people coming into this class from University Physics 1 come from a wide variety of backgrounds. So we do a lot of linearization, which is a method of taking data that is curved, transforming it with mathematics to create linear data that we can then use best fit lines and slopes to learn things. Some of you are like, oh yeah, I've done that over and over again. Easy peasy. Some of you are like linearization. I've never heard of this. So depending on your level of familiarity, you will want to go through and kind of get some of that background. So everybody should read this guide to data analysis right here. It's also linked down lower. And then if you've never heard of linearization, start here with this video. Follow the instructions for labs. I will have another video that will be embedded here that will show you how your first lab should look. It's not quite done yet, but it will be here for you. And then based on last summer, I created this little video to help with one of the questions at the end for how to use the best fit equation to find the value for K, the constant that we're looking for with our lab. So I do suggest you take a look at that if you get stuck, but don't start there because that's giving away the answers. More information about the labs. So then once you have the overview for section 1, here are your assignments. So here's the link to the introduction discussion, the slides for the PowerPoint, that guide to data analysis, and your first lab. So I can't click on the lab right now because I'm in student view and the lab is not accessible until tomorrow morning. But when you click on it, it will give you an overview of the lab. There will also be a link there for you to be able to click on. So same thing goes for each of the different weeks. If I look at section 1, 2, 3, and 4, there are more practice problems here. So once again, these practice problems are not graded, but they do have an answer key to go with them. These are going to represent what your first exam is going to look like. So you definitely want to not just look at them, but be able to solve them, but realize they are not identical to your exam, but they are similar. I do not duplicate exams to be like, oh, you can do this problem. Here's another one identical to it. I don't do it that way. That's not how physics should be done. So then the details with the practice exam session are all here for you. So that is kind of what you need to get going for this first module, get you started. So everything you need follows here on the content list, and always go back to the overview for the syllabus if you need to have everything all in one place with all of the policies. So if I would have this open for today, oh, sorry. I have module 1. This is what you should be doing today on Thursday. And your first deadlines are going to be your introduction discussion and mastering physics homework number 1 on Friday, lab 1, and your adaptive follow-up if you did not get a 90% on homework 1. Those are your first assignments. And then your syllabus quiz, you should have it done today, but It has to be done by Monday. And then your introduction discussion, I've got it in 2 locations. I need to fix that. Sorry. Introduction discussion is due on Friday. Last year we had Hurricane Beryl come through and change the entire schedule, so my syllabus got a little messed up. So I've still been going through and fixing that. So I hope that you will use me as a resource. I am not just the voice in the computer. I am here and I will interact with you. I will help any way I can. I will help and answer emails as quickly as I can. I hope to meet you in office hours. Have a great day.